What's up, guys? This is Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our LET Season 1 season recap. Um, if you've been following my videos for this, then you'll know kind of what happened. But we did end up losing in the semifinals, or the Blue Division versus Green Division playoff match. We ended up losing to ST in the Westbrook War Turtles, to Necrozma because I didn't have a Dark type to stop Stored Power set from kind of just winning. So that's kind of what happened. I actually think I played that match to the best of my abilities, but I literally had nothing for Speed Pass into Stored Power Necrozma. And he won the game in prep. Like, I don't know what else to say about that. Like, my team couldn't do anything against that, so that's unfortunate, and I'm not a fan of Necrozma, to be honest. I think that it's bullshit that it can pull that crap off. It needs a different ability or something. I don't know. Or something along those lines. I'm glad that it's being moved up. It's bullshit that it's a tier 2 right now. The only reason that he was able to pick it up is because it's a tier 2, and it's just absolute crap that it's a tier 2 ever. I think it was good enough to be tier 1 before, and thank God we moved it up. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, this is my team page. This is our team. We were the Ladner Lanturns. You can see my friend code there. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but I'm not going to add people who just randomly add me. Yeah, we finished the season 12-3 with a plus 30 differential, which was enough for first in the league. We had a really solid regular season, and I was very happy with our play. This is kind of what the dock looks like. We had our Z Crystal users highlighted in yellow, the whole roster with all their kills, deaths, plus, minus, etc. It's very complicated with all the combinations and stuff like that. You can see your weaknesses, hazard removers, clerics, hazard setters, potential abilities, all that good stuff, and all the box scores for each match. So let's run through my draft and what happened in the draft. So we ended up grabbing Magearna first overall. I don't know how the hell this dropped to me at 13th. Magearna was absolutely busted this season, and it's a mon that I'm very glad we chose to ban as well. Since I wasn't allowed to franchise a tier 1, I'm happy. If we were allowed, then I'd be pretty mad because I really wanted to franchise Magearna, and I wasn't allowed to. So whatever, get it out of the game then. I was hoping Magearna could kind of carry me to a championship. It did it for the most part throughout the season. It ended up pulling its weight very heavily, and a lot of people were pretty salty. I know I beat ST in the regular season with a Magearna sweep that he wasn't super happy about, and I beat T-Buck, and he wasn't super happy about Magearna sweeping his team, so I don't know. It filled a variety of roles this season, mostly as a sweeper. I didn't use it in all of the roles that it can be used. If I had a little bit more time, I could have used a few more sets. If I'd made it to the finals, and Loco made it to the finals, I had an idea for a Shift Gear Calm Mind set against his team, because Shift Gear, Calm Mind, Thunderbolt, and Shadow Ball, the combination of those 4 moves demolished Loco's team, and that was kind of what I was going for. So that was the strat with Magearna there. So we were 13th out of 16, and I don't know how this felt to me. A lot of weird picks happened. It was a lot of people's first draft. It was my first draft league too, but I know how broken Magearna was. But there was a lot of weird first overall picks like Skirmory, Ferrothorn. I don't want to be mean to CM, but Tyranitar is not really a second overall pick or whatever it was. Yeah, there was quite a few interesting ones there, and especially with Magearna on the board, I found it odd, but that's fine. So Magearna, and then second round, I was hoping to get Lando I, but ST grabbed it on his wheel, or on his way back around. So I ended up grabbing Manaphy, which was pretty cool. Manaphy was pretty bad for me this season. I wasn't super good at using Manaphy, and I think I just tried to run Tail Glow too much. Near the end of me having Manaphy, I ended up running a Specs set, I think, once. I ran a Life Orb set against Cow. I ran a really cool Life Orb rest set for against his Rain. I ran a Scarf set against Cade, which never actually hit the field, or maybe it did. I can't remember. I think I ran Scarf twice. I ran Scarf against T-Buck and it never hit the field either. That was the other one. Yeah, Manaphy, I thought this was a steal to get this in round 2 in the first place, and so that was really cool for me. A nice little legendary core here. Round 3, I don't know how this was even available or how it gave me points, but I managed to grab Mega Latios. Mega Latios filled more of a utility revenge kill role at the beginning of the season, and then I started utilizing it as a setup sweeper later on in the season when I started getting more comfortable with the mons on my team. Mega Latios was really solid. Delmise, which I think I brought to 1 game, and it was a Rocky Helmet check to Excadrill and Mega Kangaskhan in my game against Mike, and it ended up getting crunched to death, I think, or something like that. I don't remember. You got a kill on Mega Kangaskhan, I think, with the Rocky Helmet, though. We'll talk more about Delmise when we get to the transactions I made, because I dropped Delmise halfway through the season. Rotom-heat was a very good utility mon for the team. It filled the role as an offensive pivot a few times, and for the most part, served us well. I made a fatal mistake in going into Rotom-heat in the semifinals match when I should have gone into Thundurus and played a little bit more aggressively, and it ended up costing us the match. But I would definitely draft Rotom-heat again. This is fun mon to use. Mamoswine came to a lot of games, didn't have a very good record for us over the season, and I think it's because it's a little bit slow. It's on the slower end, so even the games where I brought it Choice Scarfed, it kind of like was locked into a move, right? And I didn't want to click Icicle Crash for most of the season because I was afraid I was going to miss the 90% accurate move. But once I started clicking Icicle Crash, it was a monster. This thing tore through Corona's team in the playoffs. It absolutely demolished his team if I didn't miss an Icicle Crash. And then in my practice matches against ST's team, Mamoswine kind of bodied that as well. Everything except for Necrozma on ST's team and Mega Scizor got smacked by this. Mamoswine had a really cool moment in the game against ST. I led off with it, and he led off with this Haxorus, and he just clicked Z Iron Tail right off the bat, but I was Babiri Berry to stop Mega Scizor bullet punches, and so I lived the hit and OHKO'd it with an Icicle Crash. That was the one kill we got in that match, and so I can be pretty proud of Mamoswine for that, to be honest. Next up was a Selgor. A Selgor stopped coming to a lot of the games later on in the season. I was a little bit more comfortable in using a Selgor at the beginning of the season just because of how fast it was. I didn't have to run a whole lot of speed. I could run a lot of attack investment. And I think one of its finer moments was picking off Mike's Arcanine with Water Shuriken, and it final gambited Corona's Staraptor in week 2. A Selgor was really cool for the team. I enjoyed using a Selgor so much. It was just a really fun mon to use. I would definitely draft it again. The fact that it gets Toxic Spikes now is really neat too. It's got a lot of utility usefulness in like Final Gambit. It can spike stack obviously, and then with cool tech moves like Water Shuriken and even just like clicking Choice Specs Bug Buzz is kind of neat as well. So I actually could have beaten Chris if this thing didn't get paralyzed by Cresselia, or if it didn't get fully paralyzed on the turn that I could have killed Starmie with Choice Specs Bug Buzz, but that's another, that didn't matter in the grand scheme of things, and we'll get to that in shortly. I drafted Rhydon, which was an interesting pick for myself. I don't think Rhydon fits my playstyle at all. I needed a tier 5. I needed a Rock Setter to help out Mamoswine, and I thought Rhydon was going to be bulky enough, but the 4 times weaknesses really hold Rhydon back. I brought it once, maybe twice. I definitely brought it to the first match, and I brought a Double Dance Rhydon set, and it ended up taking a lot of damage from Donphan. I was surprised by how much damage it actually took with a Violite, but I don't know. Rhydon was cool. I wouldn't draft it again. It's kind of meh. Licky was probably our most versatile mon this entire season. I brought a Belly Drum set against Mike and killed his Melodic with a Power Whip. I brought a Z Breakneck Blitz Normalium Z set against somebody, and it didn't actually end up getting to do anything. Oh, it was against Doppel. I brought Normalium Z, I think, against Doppel and didn't actually kill anything, but that was kind of cool. Licky was really fun as a cleric, and also with the amount of coverage that normal types get, it was really solid there. Just good natural bulk and good natural attacks. A little bit slow, but the Cloud9 came in helpful. I brought it Cloud9 against the sand, and I brought it Cloud9 against the rain. I don't think I brought it against hail, and I don't think I brought it, against sun either, but Cloud9 was really neat because we had all 4 different weathers coming in this league. Round 10, I grabbed a steal. I don't know how Mimikyu lasted this long. There we go. Mimikyu, this was my first ever draft, okay? LET was a long season, a very long season, and it just ended up finishing for me after 17 weeks of play, and I kind of didn't know how I would feel about Mimikyu at the time. Mimikyu has since become my most played Pokemon. I love using this thing in draft. I think Disguise is broken, and I will draft Mimikyu whenever the hell I can grab it. I have a friend named Mortal who sort of drafts Suicune when he can get it, and Magic who drafts Meloetta whenever he can get it. More relatable to you guys in the LET, if you're watching this, is Eco, who drafts Alola and Ninetales pretty much everywhere, or TJ, who drafts Screens, but that's a little more generic. So Eco, who drafts Alola and Ninetales everywhere, that's kind of my Mimikyu. I draft Mimikyu pretty much everywhere. I've had it in 5 different leagues. 5? Excuse me, 5 or 6, I think, at this point, and it's kind of just come in clutch every single time. It was a kill leader in one of the other leagues that I had it in. I was the champion in that league, and it ended up leading in kills. Yeah, kind of cool. And then last overall, I managed to grab Mienshao. Now, Mienshao played the role of a Scarfer almost every single time I brought it. Almost every. Keep in mind, it was almost every. The fact that there were so many people meant that people needed to grab more ghost types, so I couldn't run a lot of reckless high jump kick sets, but Mienshao came in clutch quite a few times, got me really good momentum. The fact that it was a fighting type helped out my team quite a bit as well. I was super happy with getting Mienshao. I actually had the option of getting another tier 1 at the end of this draft, and I decided to go with a tier 2 and a tier 3 instead of a tier 1 and a tier 5, because I felt that it rounded up my draft a little bit better instead of... there was some broken stuff left up, by the way. Like, I could have grabbed Mew. Numbers grabbed Mew with his last pick, but I had the opportunity to grab things like Mew, things like Hoopa Unbound, things like... Shit, what else was up there? Both of the Thunduruses were up there. Thundurus-Therian was up there. There was a lot of broken... Well, I shouldn't say broken, but there was a lot of really good things open in tier 1. Well, I do think Hoopa Unbound's broken, actually. Hoopa Unbound would have been nasty. I don't know how helpful it would have been on the team that I brought. The team that I built, sorry. Same with Mew. With having Mega Latios, I didn't really need another knockoff weakness, and getting, especially with Delmise as well. Like, if you look through this team, it's fairly knockoff weak. I have 1 resist in Magearna, and that's literally it up to this point. So this was nice to have a little bit of a dark resist, and that's kind of where we went from there. This is how Z-Captains work, so I laid out a couple scenarios here where I had Magearna / Manaphy and Licky and Mamoswine and Mimikyu. I actually ended up doing Mimikyu and a Selgor for one of the brackets, which was really fun. Mimikyu was solid, and I actually ended up bringing the Z Selgor once, which was kind of cool. I liked the system, and I love how the system works. Declaring Z-Captains and then changing every 3 weeks was really cool. I never brought Z Mamoswine. It never came up as being good to me. Z Magearna was my go-to. I brought Z Licky once. Z Manaphy I'm declared for one bracket, and I think I brought it once. Z Mimikyu I brought once, but it was very effective. So that's kind of what the draft looked like, and let's kind of walk through my prep doc here. Most of you would have seen this if you've seen my other season recaps, but if you haven't, then I'd like to run through what my prep doc looks like, because it's kind of neat, and I think I do a good job. This has changed quite a bit since I started, but this is what it looks like initially. You got my team with the base speeds and their max speeds. Keep in mind this is a Wi-Fi league, so these are all the base speeds at level 50. 117 for Magearna is neutral nature max speed, so like modest max speed is 117, and timid max speed is 128. And then I do the same thing on the other side with the opponent's team. I like to label their Z-Captains. In this case, Numbers didn't have a Z-Captain at all. And I sort of changed up the way that I color-coded. At the beginning, I color-coded his Ferroseed. I color-coded white because I was like, there's 0% chance that he's bringing Ferroseed against me. I color-coded Gallade with red because I was like, well, there's a low chance he brings it. Color-coded with Zoroark with orange because I thought there was a low chance. Yellow is I thought that he was going to bring it, and green means he did bring it. This changed quite a bit. I only have speed creeping on this at this point. I didn't take anything else into account. This is only speed creeping on this, and I did a lot more calculations at the beginning that I didn't need to do. Yeah, that's kind of, and then it just evolves over time. I started listing priority and hazards and stuff a little bit more, and I put the date and time of our match. It's kind of what I was talking about with the Z Captain, so got Corona Z Captains there. And then it evolved into this, where I have the priority hazards, hazard removal 4 times a week, what I'm speed creeping, and what his fastest thing can kind of be with the week that we would play the match, and the time. But obviously Thursday doesn't help there. I should have put the date. Anyways, I'm kind of going to walk you through each team that I have as well. So against numbers, we brought an ICMZ Magearna, which did a lot of work to his team. I brought Dual Scarfers, I brought a Double Dance Rhydon, Life Orb of Selgorn, Wakanberry, Manaphy, which kind of revenge killed something. Rhydon got a kill, I think, on the Donphan or something like that. Mamoswine might have picked it off, I can't remember. Magearna, like, bashed his team pretty hard, so that was kind of the idea there. Against Corona, we had a decent matchup. It got scary at the end there. Because I kind of threw my Scarf Rotom-heat away, which was designed to trick the Scarf onto the Clefable. I wasn't a fan of Life Orb, and I'm still not that much of a fan of Life Orb, but Mimikyu really needs the extra 10%. And so Spooky Plate Shadow Claws was kind of my idea coming off there. ICMZ Magearna was a waste of time, and this Magearna set was absolutely horrible to take on his team. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea. Superpower Mamoswine, I think this was the only time I actually brought Superpower Mamoswine, and it turned out to be okay. I brought this really nifty Megalodios set, which was Dragon Dance with Energy Ball to take on the Cloyster better, because that thing's fat on the physical side. Week 3 we played Chris, and I could have won this game. I'm disappointed in myself that I still didn't win this game. I brought a Sub-Calm Mindset, which is really cool, but a Selgor managed to get paralyzed pretty early on by the Cresselia, and we got fully paralyzed against the Starmie, which I'm still mad about, because I could have killed that thing and then put myself in a better position to win that game. I brought a Sash Mimikyu with Disguise so that I could get 2 Swords Dances up on the Cresselia and be +4. But he brought Thunderwave, so it didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Week 4 we played Mike, and I was mad about this. I'm still mad about this game. Mamoswine missed an Earthquake roll on his Roserade when I should have just clicked Icicle Crash because I'm a pussy. And yeah, Figgy Berry Licky Licky was really neat against his team. I brought Cloud9 for his Sand team, and for some, he must have predicted my setup or something. I don't know why he would have predicted my setup when Licky Licky is normally a wall, but he predicted my setup or something by bringing Melodic in on this thing. And he clicked Haze on me, like, the turn that I clicked Belly Drum, I think. Like, he didn't bother clicking Scald or any of that shit, he just clicked fucking Haze, which still pisses me off. It doesn't matter, I got a crit Power Whip and killed that thing. Fuck that monster, stupid snake bullshit. Manaphy got flinched by his Protean Greninja, and so I couldn't get the Z Brain Dance off, otherwise Manaphy would have been really cool that game against his team. And Rocky Helmet Delmise came into account later. This did something. Latios Revenge killed. Week 5, we took on Wower and the Buenos Aires Spawnabees. My season wasn't looking fantastic. I was 2-2 at this point. I ended up critting him with Mienshao on his Aegislash. And Rocky MZ Manaphy was so cool. Oh my god, this tech. If I was +3, Z Ancient Power killed AV Volcanion, which he did bring. He brought AV Volcanion to handle the Manaphy and the Magearna. And I ended up knocking off his Assault Vest, and I clicked Z Ancient Power without his Assault Vest, and it killed him, so that was really cool. Just kind of a fun game going on there. He had his Air Balloon Aegislash, as he had just traded Bisharp away for Aegislash, which Aegislash was busted, so that's, yeah. Week 6, we played Doppel in the Mew Castle United. He brought like a Kebia Berry Tapu Lele to deal with my Mimikyu, and I think Megalodios ended up cleaning up late game Psychic in Psychic Terrain, which was kind of neat. My Magearna didn't get to do much against his team. I kept bringing all these setup Magearnas, and they just haven't done much. I did bring Normalium Z with Z Double Edge against his team. It didn't hit the field. Week 7. Alright, so let's talk about some transactions I made. Let's go back to this real quick. I ended up dropping Delmise. Okay, so Eco dropped Nidoking for some reason. And I ended up dropping Delmise for it because Nidoking is a really strong Pokemon, and it gave me another Hazard Setter to use. but I needed to replace the grass typing on my team because grass is, I think, one of the more important typings, and I ended up dropping Rhydon for Tangela. So my team consisted of almost all of this roster. I'll touch on Thundurus later, but Nidoking came in, and Nidoking wrecked house. I was a huge fan of Nidoking. I'm probably going to try and draft it again next season if I can get my hands on it. Nidoking is solid. Tangela ended up being really good for my team too. It was a solid wall, played a vital role in a lot of games, tanking hits, and ended up killing Dugtrio, like Oko Dugtrio with Giga Drain. That was kind of its highlight moment, or maybe Toxic stalling the Lowland Marowak. Yeah, Nidoking was huge, Delmise was worthless, Rhydon was worthless, and I picked up some better parts to my team that I ended up bringing a lot more. This is kind of the start of the part where Aselgor stopped showing up a little bit more. Aselgor ended up not coming to as many games just because of the usefulness of Nidoking, and its breaking potential was better than Aselgor, and I didn't need the spike stack as much. So that was the idea there. But I love Nidoking. Trump card was absolutely fantastic on my team. This week we ended up playing ST, week 7, and Z Shift Gear, Z Shadow Ball with Shift Gear Magearna ended up bodying his team. I should have maybe brought this set in our playoff match. I didn't. I should have, but I didn't. And yeah, kind of my fault for not doing that. Scarf Nidoking picked off the Incineroar, which was enough for my Magearna to clean up later. I brought Sash to Selgor lead, and I brought Manaphy against him for some reason. None of this mattered because Magearna swept the game, so I don't even remember most of this. Week 8, we took on Eco, which was our last regular season loss. Came down to Scarf Tapu Bulu against Scarf Nidoking at the end, and because I was modest max speed, he outsped me by 2 points because he was jolly max speed Tapu Bulu. And so we ended up losing the game when by all means, if I had just prepped a little bit better and realized that I didn't need to be modest to punch holes in his team, we would have won that game with Timid. If we were Timid, Scarf Nidoking, we win that game. So I'm a little bit disappointed in myself still. Mamoswine did not a whole lot, but it filled a different role that game. Because of his grassy terrain, it didn't get a chance to Earthquake a lot of things. Mega Latios actually got up a sub on something, and I thought he was like really scared because I got up a sub on like Tentacruel or something like that, and I was pretty sure he was scared. We couldn't touch the Bisharp with this, unfortunately. Tangela played a pivotal role in this match, and Manaphy didn't have the power to break through Tentacruel because I wasn't running special attack investment after my Tail Glow. Psychic, +3 Psychic didn't kill the Tentacruel, otherwise that game might have been over with Manaphy in the driving seat. Yeah, so we basically, I don't necessarily know if I need to touch on all these teams. I usually do for these. Mountain View Murkrows, this was a game against Cade. Choice Specs Manaphy, that's what I brought against him. That was pretty good. I brought an Iron Defense Shukaberry Magearna, which ended up killing his Mega Pinsir, and that was really cool tech, I think, on my part. Not much else to say about that. We played CM, and this is when I had dedicated Mimikyu as my Z user, and Z Splash Mimikyu ended up cleaning up his team. I brought Specs Rotom to deal with some of the stuff on his team, which was kind of cool. He had a really slow team, so I didn't have to deal with a lot of it. I brought Facade on Mienshao in case I got burnt by something. I ended up living on 1 HP with Licky Licky, I think, which was kind of big. Sash Mamoswine was really cool, but he ended up getting a Brock, so it didn't matter. I played T-Buck, and I had a really neat Magearna set with Papa Berry to be able to live a hit. I set up with Latios, hit his red card Fortress, which brought in Magearna, which I could then set up on the Fortress with, and I won the game from there after Aselgor bopped Whimsicott turn 1 with the Z Bug Buzz, which was really cool. That might have been the last time I brought Aselgor. Oh no, I brought Aselgor here. Okay, but it wasn't useful. So that was the last useful time Aselgor came. Then we played Loco, which was a really hard match for us. Magearna was my only way to deal with Ash Greninja. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that garbage anymore. Scarf Rotom-heat was a really good way to deal with Celesteela, and he actually overpredicted and switched into Celesteela on my Rotom-heat and ended up dying. No, sorry, he switched into Celesteela on my Nidoking Thunder Punch, which was really cool. This was the only time I brought physical Nidoking, I think, and it came in really handy. I don't remember what most of this was. Oh, I ended up missing a Draco at the end of the game, which was a pain in the ass, and I almost lost. Then we played. At that point, we were locked for playoffs because we'd been winning so much. We were 8-3 at this point, and we were locked because Wower ended up going on last-minute vacation, and Chris had a poor enough record that he couldn't catch us. So Corona and I were both guaranteed for playoffs at this point, I believe, and it was just who would finish first in the division. Then we played Cow in the Guatemalan Guardian Deities. This was a really close match, but I brought some Trick Room shenanigans. Freeze Dry Tech on the Mamoswine came in clutch too. Assault Vested Licky Licky with Cloud9 was able to tank a hit or two from Kingdra, and this Rest Tail Glow Life Orb Hydration set in the rain was really neat against this team too. Came down to Mimikyu cleaning up the end of the game there. That was a really scary game, and it was like the closest match of my entire season. No, nope. I'm sad about that. Then we played Mudsdale, and Megalodios got a sweep. I just set up on his Alamamulin. He didn't get a Scald Burn, and it just demolished him. I brought Z Explosion. I brought Physical Magearna with Shift Gear boosting your attack. I just thought that it would be kind of cool to bring a Physical Magearna with Z Explosion. Z Explosion does less than regular Explosion, obviously, because it reduces the base power to 200 from 250. And I ended up not cleaning up an Amogus with that kill. That was really sad. I should have just Iron Headed it, because it was a +1 Iron Head. Not much else to say about this game, really. I wanted to bring Assault Vested Mamoswine because I thought it'd be fun. Excuse me, because I didn't get to bring Assault Vest Mamoswine throughout the season, and I think it's kind of a neat set. And then our last regular season game, we played TJ in the SeaTac Cyberdogs. He was kind of memeing on me. I brought Phytanium Z, Aurasphere, Trick Room, Magearna, which ended up backfiring quite a bit because he had his own Trick Room strat that going in that game. I brought Banded Mamoswine, which I don't think did anything, but it was kind of cool. I love the idea of Banded Mamoswine. It just hits like a truck with Banded Adamant. Oh, disgusting. Brick Break, because he loves his screens on the Licky Licky. And I think Latios ended up... I had a lot of bulk on this Latios. You can see the amount of bulk I had on this Latios, like just an insane amount of bulk, to live Scolipede Megahorn and kill it with Psychic back. I think I got up a few Calm Minds and ended up just like roosting through his team, but that's because he brought this really cool Porygon Z set, which was... Shit, was it Z? No, it was Scarfed Hyper Beam and Scarf Giga Impact, so he had both for both sides, and he ended up clicking Giga Impact on me, even though I was a physically defensive variant, which was kind of cool. There's no way he could have seen that coming. Like, who brings physically defensive Megalodios? I do, in a meme match in quotations. Then we took on Corona in the playoffs. We knew we were going to. I did a ton of practice matches with this team, and Mamoswine ended up just rolling through him. Magearna would have picked off the kills later, and he ended up DCing, so that was really shitty. And then we played ST in the playoffs, where Assault Vested Magearna was kind of my check to his special attackers, like Tapu Fini, and it ended up being a waste of time because that stupid Necrozma just broke through my entire team. It was actually a roll. So I was in a good position at one point. I had a turn where I broke his sub, and he had set up a Calm Mind or something. Set up another Calm Mind, and so it was a roll for him to kill my Mimikyu with Sword Power at that range, because I was fairly certain that it was max HP, max defense a build. If it wasn't, then by all means it was not a roll. But it looked like a roll to me, for me to live, a roll in my favor to live, and a roll in my favor to kill him with a +2 Shadow Claw. So that was unfortunate. Mimikyu ended up dying, and then we just lost the game from there. I had a strategy based around Double Dance Thundurus, and I'll talk about my drop for Thundurus in a second here after I go through this, but Double Dance Thundurus absolutely tore through his team. I just needed to chip down Necrozma, Incineroar, Mega Scizor a little bit, and then Thundurus like clean swept his team, but he ended up bringing Light Screen and all that garbage, which just was sucky. The Berry tech on Mamoswine was really cool because we ended up OHKOing his Haxorus, like we just took out his Haxorus turn 1 with an Ice Crash as he tried to Z Iron Tail me in the face, which was really funny. I don't know what else the Iron Tail is there for, maybe Mimikyu. Although he has Mold Breaker, so like Earthquake would have just gone through Mimikyu and it would have died, and Earthquake could have hit Rotom-heat. So I was glad to get rid of that thing because it meant Rotom-heat could have hard-walled something potentially, especially the Mega Scizor, which is what this was for. I brought the exact same set from week 7. Yeah, so that's all that. We did end up making a drop. You can notice that Manaphy doesn't show up at the end here. We dropped Manaphy right before the trade deadline was week 14. No, the end of week 14, right before week 15. And we ended up dropping Manaphy for Thundurus. I really hated bringing Manaphy to games, and I didn't need a water type on my team to function properly. So, Yeah, based on the matchups that I had left in the playoffs, like the teams that were left in the playoffs, I felt that Manaphy was easily able to be dropped and pick up another electric type, especially one that was faster than Manaphy by 1 point, so I would outspeed other base 100s. Didn't end up mattering because Thundurus ended up not doing anything the entire season, but I liked the fact that I could still pick up Thundurus. Actually, we can check out the tier list and see what kind of broken stuff was still left. Bisharp was open, Ferrothorn got dropped, Hubon bound, Kieran Black ended up getting dropped, I dropped Manaphy. Regular Scizor was still there, I didn't need another Steel type, but regular Scizor was still there, Superior, Thundurus Incarnate, Tornadus-Therian, Volcanion ended up getting dropped, and Weavile never got drafted. So, like, quite a few good tier 1s, and then in tier 2, things like Suicune and Toxapex never got drafted. I was so tempted to pick up Suicune halfway through the season, but it just didn't make a whole ton of sense for my team. I don't know. Successful overall, I think. Successful overall. We can just take a look at the main here. We ended up having the best record in the entire league by 1 differential point over Mike. We finished the season 12-3 plus 30, and he finished the season 12-3 plus 29. After our week 8 match against Eco, we did not lose a game until our playoff match. We had 3 kill leaders in the top 16. We had Magearna, which had a plus 12 differential. Not fantastic, but I think I showed off the power of this pick. We had Megalodios, which got plus 14, which was absolutely insane. Like, Megalodios actually put in a lot of work revenge killing. It was slowly racking up the kills. I think it had 7 at one point, and then in my last 2 games that didn't matter at all, it ended up getting 9 kills. I think it was very good for me at the end of the season there, and I think overall Megalodios filled a role that I needed it to. And then we had Mimikyu at number 12. I just love this thing so much. Plus 10 differential, 15 and 5. Ended up picking up a couple sweeps, and it ended on the same record as Porygon Z, which everyone was mad about because that could Omni Boost. So I was kind of happy with that. Every single match that Magearna came to, except for my match against ST, we won. And every match we lost, Magearna did not come to, except for the match against ST in the playoffs. So I think that says a little bit about Magearna, and that's also why I'm a little bit happy that it ended up getting banned this season, because I think it's too broken to leave on the table, especially for someone to pick it up next season and potentially do the same thing. I'm just not a fan of that. You can see we had quite a variety of kill leaders on here, but TJ ended up having 4 of the top 16. Scolipede, which had the best regular season, by the way. Ash Greninja, these are kills from the playoffs mostly. No, sorry, not mostly, but he jumped it with the playoff kills. Excadrill was good for Mike. Megalopony was actually pretty good for Eco, but that thing was never not. Mega Charizard for TJ, Mega Kangaskhan, which was allowed to have Power Up Punch for Mike. T-Buck ended up having Mega Charizard wide do pretty well. I don't think that it was actually one of the top kill leaders, in my mind at least. ST and Lando I, he didn't use it super well all season. I think he used Necrozma a lot better just in our one match than he ever used Landorus the entire season. It kind of just sucked, to be completely honest. PZ was annoying as hell with Omni Boost. Mimikyu, Toxicroak, Corona only brought it to like 3 games, but it swept in all 3 games. It was pretty good. He played around Toxicroak really well. Porygon 2 was just a wall, and it ended up picking up quite a few kills. Jirachi, which was allowed Omni Boost, is stupid. Volcarona is a dumb Pokemon, and it's not good enough to be banned, but I absolutely hate that thing, and I'm glad that it's 4 times weak to Stealth Rocks. What was I going to talk about next? The season as a whole. Yeah, so overall, as disappointed as I am about how the playoffs ended for me, and don't get me wrong, I'm very disappointed about how the playoffs ended for me. I think that was the only way that I lost that game, was if he brought that set. I think I'd prepped around literally everything else better. I'd prepped against just a flat-out Calm Mind 2-attack set, and he just brought flat-out Store Power, which was obviously the better set overall. But if he didn't bring that one set, then I probably win that game. If he ended up bringing the Necrozma that he brought against me in Week 7, then we steamroll him in that game. I had a really good plan with Thundurus, and I just completely failed to execute it, and, you know, GG's to ST. Obviously, he clearly outbattled the hell out of me that game, except for turn 1 where I got him really good, and I'm still happy about that. overall, a really good season for me. I'm super happy with my win streak. You can see win 7 on here. We ended up, yeah, like I said before, not losing to anyone after our loss to Eco. In our 3 losses before the playoffs, we only lost with a -1 differential. I should have won the game against Eco. I should have won the game against Chris. If I didn't get bad rolled against Mike, the game would have been way different. I potentially lose harder. I potentially win. I think it's entirely feasible that I could have gone 15-0 this season. I'm not even lying about that. I think it was completely feasible for me to go 15-0 this season, and I played extremely well the entire season. I can be very proud of myself for that achievement at the very least, especially with a 13th overall pick. It's not the greatest, but the fact that Magearna dropped to me was kind of just fate, I guess. Magearna, great mon. Love that thing. Totally would use it again. I am in Mount Silver, actually. I ended up getting it 2nd overall there. Yeah, so my thoughts going to Season 2, I'm going to try and do better. I think semifinals is maybe not as good as I had hoped. I hope to at least be in the finals. Next season, I probably won't have nearly as much time. We're planning on starting the draft the week after the finals match, depending on when they can get the finals match done. Potentially the week after the finals match is when we're starting. So we're starting the draft in like March, maybe. So Season 2 won't be finished until like July or something like that, which is quite a long time away, but I am finished university in April. I'll be graduating with my commencement ceremony in June, and real life is going to hit me pretty hard. So we'll see how much I do next season. How well I do next season, sorry. I don't know if I'll finish first in the regular season again. We're bringing in a couple pretty good people. People like Jay are coming back. Jay, who picked up a team that was absolutely horrific, but I've seen Jay succeed so many times. He was the Season 2 champion in SAPL. Like, I don't know. Jay's a pretty good battler, so I expect to see good things from him. I think Corona's improved a lot over the season. It was his first draft league as well. I think TJ will probably draft screens. I mean, he franchised Uxie, so I think we can expect to see some more screens out of him. I think Loco kind of had a down season at the end. Apparently he's a pretty good battler. I didn't necessarily gather that from our game. I'm hoping to maybe see him step it up the next time he plays me. Who else? Lots of people. We had some unreliable people end up dropping. So yeah, halfway through the season, a lot of people dropped out of the league, and I'm hoping that we can have a solid, longer season with all of the coaches staying. Yeah, because it was just kind of unfortunate that so many people dropped out. All that other garbage happened. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts going into Season 2, is that I'm trying to improve still, but I'm also attempting to try new things a lot. Now, granted, I'm going to try and retain as much of the team as possible. I can't retain all of it because Magearna got banned and Megalodios got moved up to Mega Tier 1, which means I'm not going to gain points for it. But I will be attempting to preserve as much of the team as I can, hopefully. I'm not sure how many people are going to try and snipe me on these things. I'm not sure how many of them are worth people sniping. But I did franchise Mimikyu. So we were allowed to franchise Tier B and below for no cost. And Mimikyu is a fantastic Pokemon. I love using it. Hate playing against it. And it's a solid fairy type, so I franchised it. It was also in the top 16 in kills. The only other 2 that I had up there were Megalodios and Magearna, and they both got either banned or moved up. I was considering franchising a few other things on the team, but I found that Mimikyu gave me the most value for my franchise, because normally, if you were paying a franchise fee, Mimikyu would be on the high end of a franchise for Tier 2. I did it in UPBA Season 2, and we'll see how that pays off for me. I've started the season 1-0 so far, so that can't be bad. But yeah, Mimikyu's a solid pick. I'm happy to use the Mimikyu again. Really very happy to use the Mimikyu again. I can't complain about Mimikyu whatsoever, and I'm excited to use it in Season 2. So we'll see how that goes. I kind of have a plan for a really cool Fairy Dragon Steel Core. We'll see how that goes. I didn't draft a ton of momentum on this team. Manaphy got U-turn, but it was mostly Mienshao and Rotom-heat being the core of my pivot strategy. And then I ended up picking up Thundurus, and Magearna can obviously Volt Switch. The Selgor can technically U-turn, but it didn't really matter. So most of my strategy ended up around doubling a lot, which I don't like. I'm probably going to try and draft some more U-turn and Volt Switch Pokemon, because that's sort of been my strategy lately, and I love getting momentum, especially with hard hitters. So keep an eye out for that. We did get the exact same draft position as last season, so I will be drafting at 13th overall once again. I will be going by the Kelowna Crocodiles in Season 2. I still have a logo in the making, apparently. I haven't actually followed up with the artist at all. I'll probably just send him a message right now and just ask him sort of where he's at with that, because it's been a few weeks now. I won a contest through his Twitter account, and I sort of sent my ideas for the new logo and stuff like that. And as I'm leaving Kelowna, I thought I'd pay some homage to Kelowna and its heritage, sort of with the Ogopogo. So we'll see how that goes. I'm a little bit stoked for that, and to sort of expand my team brand into a new team name and stuff like that. Season 2 is going to be pretty fun. We're not going by divisions for Season 2, which is really good, so it's just going to be the top 8 records in the entire league, which is actually how it ended up working out this time, but it's how it should have ended up working this season, I think, as well. The season was kind of held at parity because Doppel and Hayward ended up kind of not being great. Chris and Wower ended up having pretty poor seasons. Wower, for the most part, because he had to forfeit a bunch of matches because he left. Yellow Division was a lot closer for the second spot, as you can see, and CM and Cow actually both had shots all the way up until the last week. Numbers had a poor season, and then Jay took over the team and sort of brought it back for the most part, and Mudsdale had a really rough time of things. So like almost all the division, like the Red Division, Blue Division, and Green Division were all basically decided as of like week 8, I want to say, for the most part, and Yellow was kind of the only one fighting until the end. So that's kind of how that fell into place. As I'm recording this, it's the day that I lost my semifinals match. I'm probably just going to post this, and I won't end up posting the team builders. TJ has been working hard with the battle videos. I believe the battle videos will not be returning for Season 2, just like my YouTube content will not be returning for Season 2. I don't really see a point in trying to post for a Wi-Fi League if I can't show the actual battles, so I'm not going to do that. And I think I'm actually just going to put this up without posting the team builders that I'd recorded for the other matches, because I was kind of... they weren't the greatest, and we've gone through the teams now, so if you really want to see them, then I can paste the teams in the description in like paste bins or something. But I believe up to Cow has been posted as YouTube content, so it's really only these 4 that need team builders, and it doesn't really matter. I can tell you right now, Megalodios set up a bunch of Dragon Dances and beat Mudsdale completely. That was basically the story of that. TJ got swept by Latios, Combine Latios. Corona got destroyed by Mamoswine and would have ended up being destroyed by Magearna. There was no battle video for this because Corona, Daniel ended up disconnecting, and we had both agreed that I got the 4-0 win. And I don't really want to re-watch myself getting destroyed by Sword Power Necrozma. This game is super stally. I almost ran out of Ice Beams on Magearna trying to break his subs. I think I got a crit the first time and broke his sub or something like that. It was weird. It was a weird game, and I don't really want to relive it. The only cool part was the fact that he clicked Z Iron Tail turn 1, and I lived it and killed him with an Ice Crash with Mamoswine. That's about it. So, yeah, I'm making the executive's decision. I'm not going to post any more content after this for the LET. I've been Ian, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, and this was the summary for my Season 1 of the League of Extraordinary Trainers. We ended up playing 15 weeks in the regular season and 2 playoff matches, and we got knocked out in the semifinals, so we were tied for 3rd at the end of the season. Not a bad finish for our first ever draft league. I can be happy with it, like I've sort of summarized, but if you have just skipped all the way to the end here, I can be happy with my season. I finished 1st overall in the regular season. I think I proved that I'm a bit of a... I think I proved that I'm a pretty decent battler, and I proved that Magearna was broken enough to be banned, and that was kind of the goal for the season. So, yeah, I'm gonna sign off, and I will catch you guys for my other content, since LET will not be returning unless miraculously I get a capture card or I go out and buy a capture card for some reason, which may happen. Probably not, because Pokemon's moving to the Switch, and it doesn't really make sense for me to get a capture card for 3DS when likely in 2018 Pokemon will be on the Switch. So, yeah, that's all from me, and I'll catch you guys later.